Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to this episode of Ashram Talks. Welcome, Haripriya. How are you today?
Wonderful. Thank you. How are you?
Great, thanks for asking. And it's great to have you here after a while. And I'm so excited about having this conversation about why some people never feel satisfied. So, before we start, I was just thinking about the word satisfaction and I Googled it because we have a practical experience of satisfaction, but I found it's defined as that feeling of happiness or fulfillment that we have after we achieve something. But after we've spoken so many things about spiritual, um, the spiritual path in this Bhagavad Gita, I was wondering what's that state of satisfaction we're aiming to through this practice. So, well, I would want to invite our listeners to reflect on that while listening to your class. And the stage is all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great question. What's our goal? What's the satisfaction we want? I like that contemplation. Om Jnanatimrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namam Vishnupradaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Yati Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Gurudev. So the verse today is chapter 4, text 31, and maybe some of you have been listening each day on Mondays and Thursdays, and maybe some of you are just popping in. So for context, I'll just share in chapter 4, we've covered a variety of things, and Krishna has explained transcendental knowledge. He's explained the difference between him and the souls, how he is not attached to anything here in this material realm. He's not in any way needing anything here. And then he's also starts to speak about a soul that understands that, and then how do they live, how do they work, how do they have, what do they offer, and what kind of sacrifices do they offer. So in this verse, we'll just dive in and we'll go a little deeper. So it says, "O best of the Kuru dynasty, without sacrifice one can never live happily on this planet or in this life. What then of the next?" And I'm going to read a little bit of Srila Prabhupada's purport. "Whatever form of material existence one is invariably ignorant of his real situation. In other words, existence in the material world is due to the multiple reactions from our past. Ignorance of the cause of this what he calls sinful life meaning that which brings us away from truth, away from God, away from happiness, away from ourselves. So that's what sin means. So that word has a lot of baggage. So I would rather just say something that brings us away from who we really are and what's true in terms of real deep happiness and satisfaction in our real position as souls. So what's the cause of this, of where we are? What's the cause of this human body we're in? What's the cause of this situation? It's based on us and our actions in the past, our desires in the past that would move us away from spiritual life, from spiritual consciousness. So those choices that we've made is the cause of one's dragging on in the material existence. The human form of life is the only loophole by which one may actually get out of this entanglement." So this is huge. Srila Prabhupada goes on in this class to talk about how if you look at an ant, it's moving, it's alive. You look at a dog, it's moving, it's alive. Cats, deer, all kinds of animals on this planet, they're alive. And when the death of a human and the death of an animal look the same. There's a living body, it looks alive, it's moving its arms, it's talking, its eyes are open, and then all of a sudden, it's like lights out. There's no movement, something's missing from being inside that body. And it's the same when you look at the death of an animal. So we can understand when maybe you've had maybe a cat or a dog or some pet, bunny, rabbit, something you've had maybe has passed away, or maybe even a relative, maybe you've had this experience. And what is that difference? Welcome, Colleen. And what is that difference between when the animal was alive and when it's gone, when it's left. So we can see that, we can observe it in real time. And when you see that, I have seen it. I've seen pets and I've seen humans, both. And so in real time, I was able to see it's the same. It's the same. So that means something that animates that body of the animal and something that animates the body of that person is a soul. It's the same. It's a living being within that body. The body's just matter. The body's a shell. And when that soul leaves, that's what we call death. That's what we call they died. But actually, it's not that they died. That was always just matter. That was always material, energy, and matter. And a soul went in that body and animated it, woke it up, made it alive. And that's what we call life. Like right now, I'm in a body. And my illusion can be that I am this person. But see, I'm going to leave this body. One day, my body will be on the floor and I'll probably be able to see it. I'll witness that. When you have a higher consciousness, the understanding is when you're leaving your body, you're actually aware of that transition. And where you focus your mind and your energy in that moment is going to determine where you're going. The next body that you're going to adapt into, you're going to take on. So if in that moment I'm devastated or attached, or I'm 100% coming back here, 100% coming back to this world, and now Srila Prabhupada says that the real cause of all of our suffering is this birth, is this world. Because if I take birth, then I have to die. And that's a loop. And the way to stop the birth-death loop, birth-death, 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 the way to stop it is to take birth only in the spiritual realm, is to stop coming to the material world. And so as long as I have desires that are about me enjoying separate from God, separate from a spiritual position of servitude and love and devotion and giving, serving, if I have something other than that, anything other than that, the only place I can satisfy it is here. This place, planet Earth, where there is birth and death and where God is not physically right in front of us. So in the spiritual realm where Krishna lives, where God lives, everything's revolving around God's fun and drama and excitement and life, and we're augmenting that love. We're augmenting it. We're adding our flavor of offerings and service and arrangements. And so that's augmenting his experience, his pleasure, his happiness. But he is so beyond what we are. Humility, the humility to actually accept where we are is the first step actually of spiritual awakening. When you actually stop and think, okay, do I control the cosmos? I don't. Maybe Kali does. It's a joke, obviously, because none of us do. But then asking those questions like, how much control do I have? So who's the ultimate controller? So we might have small control over our little worlds, but ultimately when we really understand that there's somebody more powerful and amazing, and that when we're our position, our dharma, we've spoken about this, our dharma is giving and offering and service. And you call it a sacrifice. Like, I'm going to give something and offer it to someone else. And so in that offering, in that sacrifice of of thinking about ourselves and the enjoyment through our senses, in anything we offer, even something small, when we offer that, we act in a sacrificing way, then we're going to get some benefit. We're going to get the long-term effect, right? So as we become humble and we really look at our position, we really think about our position, like really meditate on it. Like, oh, I took birth, and when I was born, I knew nothing, right? My parents had to teach me everything. And then I was an adult, and then we're going to get into old age, and we're going to be forgetful, or our body will start failing. And then we're going to leave that situation. So it's like, if we look at that objectively, not like being freaked out about it, but try to have a little detachment, a little separation, and just like look at it as an observation, then humility is more easy to attain, because in that moment you think, oh wow, I'm really tiny. I don't have the choice to be in this body right now or not. I don't have the choice of when I die. I don't have the choice of living forever, which is probably the choice most of us would take if we had it. Like, I just want to stay alive forever. I don't want to die. And we know that. We see that. We see that we spend so much money on trying to avoid getting old and avoid death. It's because our nature is not suited for that. That's not our nature. Our nature is eternal. So as we surrender to that situation and we see it, then we can see our position. And once we see our position, then we can start to contemplate the amazing things on this planet that just give us a little glimpse into how amazing God is. Like looking at the sunrise and the sunset. I mean, that is magic. It's artwork every day. Looking at mountains and huge oceans, looking at the millions of aquatics, looking at the millions of species of animals, looking at how things are flying. Some creatures can fly. And when you start to actually look, oh wow, trees and humans, or rather animals, trees and animals live symbiotic. So if you start to absorb the greater reality, then you understand, oh, okay, there's something much bigger than me. So if I'm small and limited, and there's something much more like magnificent and great and larger than me, then you understand your position. And in that relationship, there's a couple things. One is I do encourage feeling loved and supported, because I think it can be scary if you just think, oh, there's something bigger than me and no one cares about me. Well, that's actually not factual, that we matter. We wouldn't be alive if we didn't matter. And we actually matter to Krishna. We matter to God. Each of us really matters. So we matter and we're tiny, both. And I think that's the nice way to speak about humility. I think there was, I was raised in this philosophy, and sometimes people tried to like speak about humility like you should think lower of yourself, when actually I think you should be humble and important at the same time. Like, you're important, and so is the next person, and the next person, and the next person, and the next person, and the next person. And then that gives true humility, understanding that you're important, and so is everyone else, and there's trillions of others. So well, more than that, but I just like to put some kind of number on it. So understanding, oh, there's trillions of others. I mean, trillions plus of others, and I'm just one. So it gives you perspective that you can experience humility and confidence. Humble and bold was a phrase I really appreciated. And so in this chapter, when Srila Prabhupada is talking about, we wanted something, we wanted some enjoyment, and it brought us here. So first, if we understand the situation, we understand the landscape, then we can say, okay, what do I want to do about it? What do I want to do about it? Like, what satisfaction do I want? Because right now we're in a loop of material satisfaction. Welcome. So we're in a loop of material satisfaction. So that means, like what Subhadra mentioned, say I want a new job and I work really hard and I sacrifice, right? This phrase that Krishna is saying, he said, without sacrifice, we won't live happily in this life. We won't live happily here. So a lot of times we're familiar, like, what sacrifices have you all made for your family? What sacrifices have you made for your job or your bank account? What sacrifices do we make as humans for our bank accounts? Srila Prabhupada used to note that, like, there was so many cars on the highway going somewhere. They're all going to work. They're going to do their service in the world to get the reciprocation of money. And so humans are doing so many sacrifices to make money. So then the question comes, has that given us lasting satisfaction? And what satisfaction do we want? And so even we can look at, I do quote Tony Robbins sometimes, and he shared contribution. He said the key to happiness is actually contribution. So he's gotten millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars, so many companies, so many ventures. And the key to his happiness is service. He said it, the key to his happiness is contribution. So what does that mean? So let's stop and look at that, because many of us are still living in the illusion that if I attain a certain position, a certain job, a certain title, a certain accolade, then I'll be satisfied, then I'll be happy. And I'm going to invite us now, even before we continue, I want you to stop and think about one thing that you have in your life right now that was a goal at one point in your life. Was a goal, just for a moment. And as you get clear on a goal that you had at one time that you now have, think about when you first achieved it. Think about how satisfied you felt when you first achieved it, how good that felt when you first achieved it. And now I want you to think about this last week of your life. How many times in this last week did that achievement come to mind? How many times did it bring you satisfaction? How many times did it come up for you that, oh wow, I'm so grateful I have that achievement under my belt? There's no right or wrong. This is an observation. And if anyone wants to share in the comments what came up for them, what were their goals that they've achieved already? What was maybe that feeling that they had when they first achieved it? How long did that last, if they recall? And how often in this last week did we actually think about it? How often in this last week did we feel like grateful or satisfied because of it? And for some of us, the answer will be, I thought about it often. But for most of us, it'll be like, we actually didn't even think about it at all this last week. At all, any of these last 7 days. Like, I live in Alachua now. It was my goal to get to Alachua for years. I lived in England and New York and India and California and so many places for various reasons. And I remember thinking, when I have a child, I want him to be where there's always kirtan, where he can learn the mridanga and harmonium and sing for the Lord. And I want him to have friends who sing for the Lord. And I'm here. I've been here 6 years. And in this last week, it has not occurred to me once, oh wow, look at me, I'm in Alachua. Those thoughts don't come up. Those thoughts of like, okay, I'm retired. It's gone now. I'm retired. So you retired. Okay. So what do you mean when you say it's gone now, Colleen? The feeling of the achievement is gone? You can give me like a thumbs up or thumbs down if I've got you, if I've understood you. So what does that mean? It doesn't mean we shouldn't go after these goals. That's not the point of what I'm sharing, but it's to Subhadra's question. It doesn't bring lasting satisfaction. So what kind of satisfaction are we after, really? If we can pause and be intelligent about our goals, instead of just going to the next material goal and then getting satisfied, and then going to the next material goal and getting satisfied, and then going to the next material goal and getting satisfied. In that process, we're always living in one illusion. And that illusion is that we think we're this body, which means we are these desires and these ambitions. Now, we can pursue different goals without being in the illusion that we are the body and that we are the senses, and that achieving these goals are going to satisfy us, because they will satisfy us for a short time. But see, our nature is different. The premise is what's incorrect. So our nature, so the classes, I guess I like the song, I can't get no satisfaction, right? That's like a hit. I can't get no satisfaction. So many people related to that song. And that's the title of this class, is like, why is it that some people are never satisfied? And that some people could be us, and that question could come for us. And it's always because the premise, the starting point, is inaccurate. So if the premise is, I'm Haripriya, and right now I have some goals. I have some goals to post more on social media. I have some goals to connect with lawyers, to have, leads in a different avenue. I have a goal to teach a self-development seminar online, to transfer it from in-person to online. So I have these goals, and I can think that these goals are going to bring me satisfaction. And now how I operate will have a certain nature to it, a certain flavor. Like I'll be what's called rajas, mode of passion. Like the end result is my goal, and I am only working towards that. And if I don't get that, I'm going to be dissatisfied. And if I get that, I'll be satisfied for a little while until my mind thinks up another worthy goal, another level. So, and even when I look around in my life right now, there's people who look at my home, what my husband and I have created, and their goal is just where we're at. And they're thinking, oh, if I was her, if I had what she had, I would be so happy. But they have no idea that actually once they achieve that, the mind will just think of another goal. And then once they achieve that, the mind will just think of another goal. And once you achieve that, you're just going to think of another goal. I'm going to, the goals are endless. So then the question is, what mood do I want to live my life in? So if I want to live my life in sattva, in consciousness, coming from real knowledge, depth of knowledge, knowledge of who I am, then I can actually decide in a moment. In a moment, I can stop and say, I'm not this body, I'm a soul. It's that easy you can literally talk to yourself. Like I was noting in this chapter earlier, Krishna talked about detachment, like letting go of attachment, fear, and anger. And I was thinking, okay, so what are the opposite of those? I'm fearless. So I'm going to do a little practice with you all now. I'm fearless. Like as a soul, we can decide to touch that quality now, to just tap into that quality now, connect to it now. Maybe we've allowed it to get covered, that quality within us of fearlessness, because the soul is fearless. Detachment meaning like I don't need it. It's like I can be committed and detached. So I'm detached. I'm detached from the result. That means now I have a goal. This or something better is going to unfold. That's my goal. I'm clear. And it might look completely different. And I'm going to always trust that it's always for the best, because life is happening for me and not to me. Life is happening for my self-realization, because that's my goal, is self-realization. So as I have these goals, these material, so-called material goals of posting more on social media, turning my in-person course into an online course, connecting with lawyers who might need our real estate services, right? So as we have these external goals, as soon as my mood becomes, I'm a soul, I'm fearless, I'm detached, and the last one was anger. So instead of saying I'm peaceful, I was meditating on what brings anger. Anger is when we don't get what we want. That's when anger comes. So I decided to say, I'm satisfied. So I'm satisfied. That is the nature of the soul, to be satisfied. So for me, this class was like this perfect circle of, if I connect to what Krishna says, that if I'm fearless and detached and satisfied, and I absorb myself in him, and I take refuge in him, then I attain love for him, and I attain him. That was chapter 4, verse 10. So we covered it, about 21 verses ago. But that was very clear that if we operate in that consciousness, then we can still have whatever goals we have. But now we're not doing them for the means of satisfaction. We're starting with satisfied. We're starting with, I'm satisfied. I'm a soul. So the mind and the body and the senses might still tell us the same old story, the same lie, the same illusion. Like, if I have this, then I'll be happy. But if we start with, I am satisfied, then we can hear that little tape, that little recording of since time immemorial of, if I have this material thing, then I'll be happy. So we can hear it. And we can be a little detached from it, detached enough to observe it and remember, I already am satisfied. And I'm still going to move towards this goal. But now when I move towards this goal, I don't need the result to unfold for my satisfaction. I'm free of that. So I'm actually more powerful. I'm more potent because I don't need the external result, and I'm not doing it now for the external result. I'm doing it what's called yukta vairagya. So now I have a goal, but I'm dovetailing my goal to bring happiness and love to God. Because in that, that's understanding my true position. I'm already satisfied and I'm a servant of God. And as I offer all of my goals to God, and I do them literally, and you have to meditate on it a little, like how would this bring satisfaction to God? Would this bring satisfaction to God? You might end up tweaking your goals when you actually pause and think, okay, my real satisfaction is already within my body and lies within my consciousness, the consciousness that I am always connected to Krishna, and I'm part of the spiritual tree. I'm a leaf on that tree. I'm part of this spiritual relationship with Krishna, and I'm already satisfied. And now I want to bring satisfaction to Krishna, who's always satisfied, but that's the only thing we can actually offer is our love and our time and our thoughts. Krishna has everything. But as we offer our love and our time and our thoughts and our endeavors and our goals and our work, as we offer that as sacrifice, as we offer that work, now the rich result isn't just an accolade that we feel satisfied by and it fades, or money in our bank account that then gets spent, or whatever the other goals have gotten us. So now, when we achieve that goal of offering our work, offering our goals as a sacrifice, as an offering, now we get something that's permanent. We start to deepen a relationship that will never end. That means when we die, when we start to leave our bodies, what can we hold on to? The only thing we can hold on to is the relationship that we have with God. And as we hold on to that, the more that we've sacrificed for Him, for His happiness in this life, the more rich our relationship is, because He reciprocates. I've experienced it. As you give a little bit, even just give a little of your time and awareness, He gives back where you feel loved and you feel connected and you feel, my experience is taken care of. That you understand, oh, I'm always safe, actually. I'm always sheltered. I'm always taken care of. I just was choosing the wrong shelter. We were choosing shelters in material things. When you choose the real shelter and you actually take refuge in God, you take shelter in God, and you offer your love and your time and your energy, then your love grows. And that's a relationship that satisfies like rivers into an ocean, never ending, never ending. And anything we do that's just material, it's even just for a material relationship, it's like water in a pond. It'll satiate us. It has its benefits. But what we want is rivers to an ocean. We want to be flowing towards the love of God so that we actually get satiated and satisfied. Then we want more and more of that which never ends. And that which never ends and keeps fulfilling you to another level, right? So it's not that we want more because we're not satisfied. Now it becomes we're so satisfied and we want more. That's spiritual love. That's spiritual relationships. And so when Krishna says in this that you can't be happy in this world, right? You can't be healthy without sacrifice. If you ate ice cream every single day, you're not going to be healthy. You can't be strong without sacrifice, without working your body. You can't have money in your bank account without sacrifice, without going to work. So what sacrifice do we offer depends on what is our goal and what satisfaction, I like as Subhadra mentioned, what satisfaction do we want? Do we want that satisfaction that's unlimited and always overflowing? Or do we want limited satisfaction that we forget about a few months or a year or two later? So that's what I have today. That's my offering. Subhadra, I'm happy to chat more, or if there's questions of anyone listening.
Thank you so much, Haripriya. And I have a question. Before that, I'd just like to highlight, I think it's really beautiful, the fact that you explained that it's not that we shouldn't pursue those goals, because at the end we cannot trick ourselves into believing we don't have any other desires than following a spiritual path, if it's the case. So we actually have want to do many different things, want to achieve different goals, but the fact that it's important to understand that we shouldn't live up to fulfilling those material goals, because as you said, they're endless. Our mind is always going to come up with something, and the fact that we're being surrounded by so many things, there is so much, um everyone's trying to sell us something to get us to like something. So it's impossible not to want to pursue any goal, or get anything to. But it's important to note that, as you said, that's not what's gonna give us true satisfaction. And it made me remember a purport of Srila Prabhupada in chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita. And he said, this realization is made possible by working with the fruitive, by still continuing to perform what you have to do, working with material things.
Working with the
Yes,
fruit work.
yes, it says working with the fruitive, being situated in the fixed conception of the real self, by
Mm,
understanding who you really are, but still performing what you have to do. Yeah, you still act according to your duty. You don't give up on that.
yeah.
You don't, fakely give up on your desires, but you still try to cultivate understanding of who you really are. So progressively, you can realize that within your heart. And my question was, um, we may offer our actions to the Lord. I've heard that at first we will start by offering Him things that we like, and not maybe. Yeah, but there is such an art in this thing of service. So at the beginning, when we approach, of course, we will try to offer what we like first, because maybe we don't know what God likes, or that's in another level. But how do we know our actions are pleasing the Lord?
Oh, wow. That's deep, Subhadra. I think you have to ask individual questions. I think that's why we have gurus. We have spiritual teachers. Like if I can, like I'll make a strawberry cheesecake for Krishna, and I'm thinking, I know he likes this because I like it. And I'm just kidding. But I'm thinking, and I know that's true. He does. He does like, he'll like something that's just delicious, right? But it's not that, it's that he loves my love. He loves that I was thinking, ooh, I'm gonna make strawberry cheesecake for him. So that's what he loves, right? Not the actual cheesecake. So it depends, right? Even I get counsel. I think it's not. I don't think any one of us has like a black and white answer to that. Like if I say, oh, I'm going to post more. I actually recently spoke to a sadhu, a sannyasi was in town, and I talked about posting on social media, how like when you're posting on social media, you're not necessarily giving the real nectar. Like this, an Ashram Talks platform, you can give like the depth of truth, right? So, but if I'm speaking about a self-development seminar where I help people uncover who they really are, but it's lifting the veils one step at a time. And even he said, well, you don't need to mix Krishna consciousness and what you're posting. Because I thought, well, if I don't post that, am I cheating them? Because I know something deeper. So if I just post about, the things that I know people seek, for example, like I've helped people get married. This is material, right? I've helped actors get roles in a movie. So I've helped people do things that are material. And yet in the seminar that I teach, the 3-day seminar, there's so much quoting Bhagavad Gita and going deep with who you really are and seeing the material layer, seeing this body, seeing the rajas, the tamas, the sattva, seeing the dynamics. So it's raising your consciousness, and it's also connecting to our soul's qualities. So there's so much in the seminar that's spiritual, and yet when I'm talking about it on the internet, I'm not going to be sharing the depth. I'm going to be going like, well, I've helped people find their perfect husband and let go of fear. I've helped people, land their dream job in a movie, and the point is, you can come to it and become more powerful. And in that becoming more powerful, you become truly free. So I was sharing that and I thought, but I feel like what's really becoming free is knowing that you're a soul. And some of that is there, but I don't say, and you can chant Hare Krishna, right? So then I think, but when I talked to him, he understood. He said, we all have our work. We all have our dharma. That's our service. It's our work. And it's not the same as preaching. So you can preach and you can share and you can give knowledge and you can work and have your dharma. And I think my whole life I was always trying to intertwine them. So that was really hard for me because I was always like thinking, well, I want to give the real deal, but I don't want to get money for giving truth that's for free in the Bhagavad Gita, but I need to work and make money. So trying to find all that, we need guidance. We need to speak to our teachers or meditate, right? You can write letters to Krishna, or you and I can chit chat after and I can listen to you so that you can go deeper and find your own answer. But I think that's a good question. Like, how do I know this goal is satisfying to Krishna? I have that question even right now where I'm like, Krishna, would Krishna really want me to post a ton on social media? Is that what he wants? Would that make him happy? And I'm in that question. So I don't have the answer. Yeah.
Thank you, Haripriya. Well, yes, I've heard this. Like, okay, at first we start offering what we think he would like, but even though if it's not pure love, because maybe we know it's not, and we're not that close
Yeah.
in consciousness, because everything that's separating us from God is our state of consciousness.
Mm.
Is even though it's is a common action, something that's not completely free of, of the different nuances of this world, the different energies of this world, is you start establishing a relationship. So even
Mm.
by just, okay, I'm going to do this, and I know it's just related to what I like, to what my dharma is, or maybe the results of my previous work, but anyway, I'm gonna offer it. So I started developing that thinking of the Lord, and I think that's very powerful, as you said. Okay, I take some time to think of Him and offer Him what I'm doing, whatever it is. But I
Mm.
start establishing that relationship of, and it's happened to me that I perform many different kinds of service in the temple when I used to live in the temple. But I think now that I think of them, most were like with maybe a different kind of consciousness, which was not actually offering something to the Lord. So
Mm.
maybe I think of my current activities and the way I try sometimes to offer them to Him. And I think they're even more connected than that I used to do at the time, because my mind was in a completely different place.
Mm.
And it's more important, the attitude, the inner attitude with which you do things for the Lord,
Yeah,
than
so you're
doing the
saying like
ritual.
you can live in the temple and offer incense and offer food and offer flower garlands and offer songs, but your mind is somewhere else. It's like maybe it's on your goals and your ambitions and your this or your that or your desires. But now you're like, oh yeah, and now I'm living in the world and I'm working and I'm thinking about Krishna. And he says that. He says, do your duty and think of me. So it's that you have it, you hit it. Like that's key. How where our mind is, what we're thinking about, and where we are is exactly where we're supposed to be. Like when you said, oh, it's not pure love. I feel like so many of us put ourselves down, like, oh, it's not pure. But it's like if it was pure, we wouldn't be here. It was like, of course it's not pure. Like we're here. We're on planet Earth, so we have layers, and we've chosen to be here, and so yeah, it's like it's a gradual coming back to him. It's a gradual, and it's just like a child, when they learn to walk. We never go like, oh, you fell down, you fell down. Oh, he fell down again. Oh, he fell. Look at him, he's falling down again. No, we're like, they're walking. They're walking. They're walking, right? So I feel like why don't we? It would be nice if we did that for our spiritual life. Like, oh, I offered flowers today. Like I thought to go pick flowers outside, or, oh, I was really in the question, like, should I do this new job or should I stay with my old job? Which one would Krishna enjoy better, me or whatever? So it's like, let's see the walking. Like, let's start to, even the fact that you're in this question, like, oh, look how much Subhadra cares. She wants to know, is what she's doing satisfying to Krishna? So that's beautiful. Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you, Colleen, for
Thank
your beautiful text too. I see amazing, clear class. Thank you, Haripriya. Satisfied, detached, and fearless, taking shelter in Krishna. Thank you.
Yes, it's also so nice to always see Colleen and, of course, all of our listeners here dropping comments.
Yes.
Like,
Thank you for class. Solo scuro. I wonder if you're Italian. Scuro. All our actions or their results must be offered to Krishna. Yes. Yeah, either the result or the action. Yes, there's different layers. Right now we're at this text, but earlier there's different layers of what you sacrifice, how you sacrifice. You can sacrifice by offering the results of the work, the money, the fruits, and you can sacrifice by offering the work. So yes, there's different layers.
yes, it made me remember I was talking to a friend, and I've always been a little bit shy about preaching because I feel like, okay, I don't know if people are actually going to take it. So
Mm.
I prefer trying to establish a relationship first before actually
Yeah,
talking to them out of nowhere about Krishna.
that's
So,
why.
well, we have
Yes,
some kind of
wise
relationship.
and
Yeah.
deep.
So I just started asking him, okay, but what do you think? Like, we were talking about goals actually, and I was asking him, what do you want to achieve in your life? Like, he's very young. He's way younger than me, and he was talking about many things. He has a huge craving for success be prosper and help his family, many things. So I was just asking him, okay, you think now you don't feel satisfied with what you have? And he said, no, actually, I'm not. So I continued on talking to him and asking him, okay, if you think if you achieve this, you think you would be happy? We couldn't make the point,
Mm,
but I saw that he actually had a huge eagerness to achieve these goals and feel like he has the capacity to help others with wealth. So at the end, I just told him that's good. So just offer everything to God. So I thought there is no point in lecturing him about this nature right now,
mm,
or lecturing him about, oh, you shouldn't pursue those kind of desire, because that's not what he has to do.
mm,
Indeed, if he has this desire, he has to pursue it, but at least we can start by offering what we do. And I think by that action, progressively, our consciousness would be purified, and it would open to other concepts. It would open to higher knowledge eventually. But we have to start by small steps.
mm. Also, we can't stay still for a moment, right? Like we're not meant to just go into the forest and be yogis. That's not actually what we're meant to do. So yeah, I'd say in a sense, a lot of frustration, I think, was created when this movement first came to the West. I think a lot of, well, that time was also, it was, I want to say it was a very rare time because Srila Prabhupada was senior and no one knew how long he would have. And they wanted to spread Krishna consciousness like wildfire. So many people gave up everything material, moved into temples, were full on only serving 24/7. So that's like a very amazing, powerful time. And then that generation, when they had children and they started to teach their children, I think a lot of children felt, well, I could say this. What I think would be more supportive and fruitful is do what you want to do and go do it for God. Way more powerful. And I think there's a lot to be said for people going like, I don't want to be in the material. Oh, but I am here. But I don't want to be. And then it's like, well, then what does that accomplish? That doesn't accomplish anything, right? Then it's like you haven't utilized the energy and the intelligence that you have in any way. So, I mean, unless you're ready to full on move into the temple and full on serve, like we can be honest about to what degree we're able to do that, and to what degree do we do our dharma, we do our follow our nature and do our work and do it with the awareness that the results are not ours, actually, that of course we maintain ourselves, but that everything is Krishna's. So then if you do it with that consciousness, then you're satisfied and your nature of doing something is utilized. It's so much, yukta vairagya is so much more powerful. Utilizing everything we do and have in Krishna's service is so much more powerful than negating our desires and negating our goals, because a higher taste is the only thing that's going to let us let go of those desires. Like getting a higher taste for my relationship with Krishna is the only thing that let me no longer want to be an actress, for example. And of course I still do act in dramas, Krishna conscious dramas now for fun. But when I was wanting to do that for my work, it wasn't that someone told me I should give it up. I mean, that wouldn't have worked. That wouldn't have worked. But understanding a dynamic that was underneath it, and understanding how to fulfill that dynamic with my relationship with God, my desire faded naturally. And Prabhupada talks about that a lot. Higher taste. He said you don't have to like be like, I'm not, I have to give this up. It's like, no, when you're eating something more delicious, you naturally give up the lesser foods. So it's the same. I think it's the same when we're naturally the more Krishna conscious we get, the more we read and chant and hear, and the more we're around sadhus and devotees, then the more our consciousness wakes up, and then the more we can let go of material things. But to try to force ourselves to let go of things when we still have the desires is useless, really. I find it. I think it's like there's so many quotes. I wish I had them at the tip of my fingertips, but there's this one story of someone having a desire, and then they took birth based on that desire at that time, of death, whereas someone else had actually done that thing and it was like not that, and then they had a higher birth because they were admiring someone who was better than them. So I remember the quote. I don't want to get into the details of it, but they were meditating on like, oh, look at him, he's so nice, he's so devotional. And then the devotional person was like, look at her, what is she doing? And then they both went wherever their consciousness was. So I learned two things in that. Don't meditate on judging others, because you're just going to attract
Mhm.
that into your life, that you're going to, and be where you're at and keep meditating on the higher goals.
Yes. Thank you so much, Haripriya. Yeah, I think I've heard their story. It was like a priest and a lady.
Yes.
Well, the lady, yes.
I
Yes,
purposely
it's
didn't want
such
to
a
get
nice story.
into
Such a nice story. Yes. And you also made me think of a time where there was like a joke in the temple. Because most of us, or in my case, we had this fear that you mentioned. Oh, I don't want to do this certain type of activity because that would be illusion. That's material. That would be Maya. But there was a devotee who said, my dear, but sometimes we fall into Krishna. We're
Mm.
always in illusion. And sometimes we fall into Krishna. It's not like you're in Krishna consciousness and you're gonna fall into Maya. You're always into illusion. But sometimes you realize Krishna is there. So don't
Thank
think that you're, oh, I don't want to do this because that's material. No, you're always in the material
you.
world. You're surrounded by this energy. Sometimes you become aware of Krishna. So,
Mm. I appreciate that. Thank you.
well,
Thank you for your comments. Thank you, Pads and
I don't know
souls.
if you would like to say something to close.
Be where you are and focus where you want to be. Be where you are, accept it, and then really get clear. What do I want? What do I want? What kind of satisfaction? I'm going to end with your question. What kind of satisfaction do I want? And what are the steps to get that satisfaction?
Wonderful, dear Haripriya. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all
Looking
for your.
forward to seeing you soon then. And thanks for joining everybody. Pap, Solo Scudo, and Colleen and everyone who's watching this. See you again on Thursday. Remember, you can follow us on Instagram at Ashram Talks IENG. And also, we're streaming on Spotify. So you can hear to our latest episodes. You can listen to our latest episodes. Just browse Journey Through the Bhagavad Gita on Spotify. Thank you so much and looking forward to see you in another session. Goodbye.